Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. With a record number of job openings and a record number of people being released from prison because of the pandemic, we thought it was a perfect time to check in with former Governor Jim McGreevey, who is now chairman of the New Jersey Reentry Corporation that helps those released from prison to find jobs, to find careers. Here's my interview with former Governor Jim McGreevey. Governor, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. I thought about you because with your reentry program, you train people who have spent time in prison to have meaningful lives, to get jobs, and that helps them better their lives and better society at the same time. However, now we have this situation where there are so many jobs available that nobody can fill. Can you fill them at this point?
Well, Larry, that's our goal. And obviously for people coming home from prison or coming home from county jail or addiction treatment, I mean, these men and women need to work, and they need to work relatively quickly. So our goal is to identify all those businesses where there are job openings, understand which specific skills are required, whether it's a commercial driver's license, a driver's license, HVAC, and then identify the person. So if you will, there are three columns. We know the columns of the individuals coming out of prison and county jail and addiction treatment. We know the businesses, and we're in the process of that, creating that inventory. And then it's the middle column, making sure people have the skills necessary to do that job. So the old way, if you will, of coming out of prison, you get a job at a warehouse or at a local restaurant. If you survive 6 months, let alone 6 years, it was a blessing. Now what we understand is it's important to have the industry recognized credentials. So you have the expertise to keep the job. And that's so important. And so the whole goal is that you're gonna be able to succeed and build from platform to platform of increased skill development so that you can improve your own sense of self-sufficiency. And then COVID provides certain opportunities. The reality is that if our guys and gals have the skills necessary, that there are jobs, there are opportunities for them to work right now in New Jersey.
Is it just skills that hold them back, or is there still a reticence in industries to hire someone that has done prison time?
I think it's both, Larry. I mean, I think more and more people understand at the end of the day that they need a workforce. And I mean, the argument may be that it's actually, in certain cases, it's more profitable for people to stay home than to work, which is a shame. I mean, I think our national policy always needs to be encouraging work, if not on a sliding scale. At the end of the day, work is important for dignity, for self-sufficiency. But I think that historically there was a reluctance to hire people, but I think there's also a growing recognition that for many of the young men and women who were incarcerated, particularly on drug charges, on controlled dangerous substances, many of them were arrested when they were 18, 22, 25, but they've grown, I don't want to say past that, but they're in a much healthier place. So our goal is to making sure that people are sober, that people are responsible, that people understand that 8 o'clock in the morning is 8 o'clock in the morning, but that they also have the skills necessary, Larry, to do the job. And so we work closely with prosecutors, we work closely with the Attorney General, we work closely with the business community, because the whole goal of a second chance is obviously to have the self-sufficiency to succeed. But to do that, you ultimately need a job. And we make sure that people are healthy, people are sober, people have access to housing, but a job is so critically important for the long term.
Yeah, recently, and this is a sign of the times, what's happening right now, what the crisis is with employment. Recently, the 9 casinos got together and they had a jobs fair, 1,800 jobs, 20 people showed up. You would think with that kind of demand, people would be reaching out to you. Is that happening?
Well, that's happening. And I just want to, if I could give a shout out to Jim Pelosis, Jim, who's the chairman of the Casino Control Commission. And he's been somebody who's really committed to working with the reentry population, so that we need to understand that where a young man was or young woman was, and when they were 17 or 18 or even 24, people learn, people begin to develop. And that's why we do a lot of work with people that are historically have suffered from heroin addiction or fentanyl addiction. They're in a sober place. They're being healthy. They're being responsible. They're supporting their children if need be. And so now they need that second chance. So part of that second chance is, go back 20 years ago. If you had a criminal conviction, there's no way that you would be on the casino floor. But thanks now to Jim Pelosis, formerly the chairman of the State Parole Board, but now in a leadership position at the Casino Control Commission, they're looking at people who have had historically offenses to give them that second chance opportunity. And if I can, whether it's Governor Murphy, Senate President Steve Sweeney, or Speaker Craig Coughlin, we understand that if we're going to put New Jersey back to work, if we're going to keep these guys and gals out of prison, they need to have a job. And if I could give out a shout out to President Michelle Sikirka of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, Michelle's vision is, all right, let's sit down. Let's sit down with these businesses. And Larry, whether it's the car industry, you've got car dealerships all over the state of New Jersey, or the casino industry, or the hospitality industry, or the logistics industry, moving freight and logistics, whether Port Newark, Port Camden. Part of this is that we have people that want to work, that need to work. Let's provide them the skills. So that's why we just opened, and I appreciate your time, the first in the state New Jersey Reentry Training and Employment Center, to say that, all right, Jim McGreevey is coming out of Northern State Prison or Rollway or Southern State. I've got a history of drug distribution. Maybe I have an assault on my record. Let's do an evaluation. How are your math skills? How are your language skills? Can I get you that GED? What are you interested in doing? All right, maybe I'm interested in working in the port. Maybe I'm interested in being a commercial driver's license. Maybe I want to become a diesel mechanic. The automobile industry, Larry, has said to me, there is such a dearth of mechanics and diesel mechanics in this state. We'll hire every single one of your guys. And this is why I'd like to give a shout out to Commissioner Rob Bassaro-Angelo, the Commissioner of Labor, because what he did, what Bob did, and what the governor did, and Steve Sweeney and Craig Coughlin, is understand that these guys and gals need training. And the old way was so much of the training, just bluntly, was way above the capacity, because a lot of our guys come out, bluntly, they were kicked out of high school. They didn't have an opportunity, whether it was for whatever reason. So we want to get them in a place of learning. And so we want hands-on learning.
Yeah, so let me interrupt you for a second, because I'm not sure you're answering the direct question. You're talking a lot about—
It wouldn't be the first time as a former recovering politician.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is, you keep saying there's opportunity. They're looking at, we have these relationships. I guess I'm looking for cold hard facts.
Oh, hard facts, yes. I mean, like,
there's, let me phrase the question. There's this huge need right now. Are you filling that? Are they allowing you to help fill that?
Yes. But what they want, which I would argue is fair, they want certification as to their background. They want certification as to their behavior in terms of their sobriety. They want certification in terms of their driver's license. And they want to make sure that they have skill. So to be fair, I mean, at the end of the day, Larry, it's my long-term relationship. And whether I'm delivering or whether I'm ensuring that the persons I send to, whether it's Jim Pelosis or Jim Appleton at New Jersey Car Dealership, I need to make sure that they have their driver's license, that they are sober, that they have been trained. So the answer is yes. We just had a cohort of people that moved through mechanic training. Every single person who graduated from the program got a job. But the point here is this: they had a driver's license, they had certification that they had passed the training, and they were sober. So I can't expect to put somebody on a job construction site that still is active in their addiction, who hasn't had OSHA 30 occupational safety training. That's why the training piece, if I can push back respectfully, that's why the training piece is important. I can't ask you
There's a
Pardon?
little concern to that. To me, there's a little concern to that. It's because so you don't have people available right now to go into these jobs. You still have to. You
I have
still have to work
people,
with them.
I have people right now that can go into jobs that are unskilled. Yes, I do.
Okay.
But part of, and let me just, I did that maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago in reentry. I prefer bluntly, right now, my long-term goal is to get these guys, as important it is as to push a cart on Atlantic City, which it is, and some guys, that's a good job and maybe the entirety. What I'd prefer to do is to get them a skill and get them into an industry where, whether it's a commercial driver's license or HVAC or OSHA 30, or get them into the laborers so that they're not pushing a cart maybe for 10 months, but they have a career for the next, 25, 30 years where they can pay a mortgage, get health benefits, buy a house and raise a family. So it's just, if you will, it's the difference between having a job and having a career. And so,
I know
and that's what's important.
No, I get it. It's point well taken, but you've been around for a long time. Are they there yet?
Yeah, no, they are there. Like I just told you, like our diesel mechanics program, we had 100% placement. And
Good.
so we just opened this new reentry training center. And whether it's Pastor Keith Davis at the Camden Dream Center, we had over 123 guys lined up taking Cisco certification now. So these are young guys coming out of prison, young guys and gals coming out of prison that are becoming trained on networking and routing. I don't even know what that means, but they're being trained on networking and routing so that they'll have Cisco certification. So the name of the game is, Larry, is that if Jim McGreevey goes to Larry and I've got Cisco certification as a networking technician, and whether you're Panasonic, whether you're Utility or Horizon, you're going to hire me because that credential says. So respectfully, I've got a certain number of positions at the back of a DPW truck, whether that's, parks or that's sanitation, but I also want to offer jobs that are skill-based so that we've got 11,000 clients. We need to offer, one size doesn't fit all. So if at the end of the day, Jim wants to do a jackhammer, God bless, we've got that job. But if somebody wants to become Cisco certification, or somebody wants to become a diesel mechanic, or somebody wants to become a boiler operator or do heavy construction, the goal is to train for those jobs.
I get it. You're not just looking for a job for the summer. You're looking for a job for
Yeah, exactly. Because what happens is, Larry, the reality is, if I get the job for the summer, everything's good. My girlfriend's happy, my baby's fed, and then comes, October or November, I'm laid off. Everything goes to blank. And so the goal is, all right, let's do this right. Let me just ask Larry or Jim, what's his background? What are his health issues? What's his criminal history? Some crimes preclude you. It's a frustration. Some crimes preclude you from ever working on a port, which is a little crazy because some of my guys are the strongest because of drug charges are precluded from working on a port for the rest of their lives. But let me look at your background. Let me ask you, what are your interests? The name of the game is, whether it's Larry being interested in journalism or Jim being interested in government politics, if I can help this young person get in a job that they're sincerely interested in, and they see the prospect of increased training and getting better, that person is going to have successful reentry. That person is going to live a law-abiding life. If I get you a job for 2 or 3 months, and excuse me, it goes to hell thereafter, then we have to restart the process. So now what we try to do is, if I would argue, the new way of doing reentry is to try to plan with you the same way, whether it was Larry's family or parents or mine or college, to work with them and we work with people from Columbia University. And the whole goal is, one size doesn't fit all. Try to really determine your skill level, your interest, and how I can provide you the training to develop a career.
We're way over on time, but I just
Okay.
want to ask you one last question. That is,
Thank you, by the way, for your patience.
is it possible to do both? Is it possible
Yeah.
to fill some of these jobs that are open right now so that the people that you have in your program can get a paycheck and still
Yeah.
train them?
So that's what we do.
Okay.
We work with people right now, like typically the reality is, and we work, by the way, with the Casino Control Commission. But just so you know, a lot of what the Casino Control Commission wants is permanent jobs, not necessarily employment jobs. But what we typically do is we work with municipal and county DPWs so that Jim McGreevey comes out, say, for example, in the city of Newark, Mayor Baraka will give me a 6-month temporary job in DPW to stabilize me. And the purpose is, I'll catch up on my bills. I'll be able to afford a place to live. I'll be able to have a meal ticket. And I'm going to school at night so that after 6 months, I then move into employment. So yeah, so to your point's really well taken, is that when people come home from prison, and some people say they made mistakes and they clearly did, but I would also ask just people for compassion, because not everybody starts from the same starting point in the race of life. Right. Some people grew up in chaos, some people grew up in violence, and particularly women who've gone through the prison system. But I will say, overwhelmingly, our guys and gals work during the day and go to school or training at night so that they can ultimately get into a position that matches their interests. So they're working during the day to pay their bills. And some of these guys and gals really hustle because they don't have a car. Many don't have insurance. And so they've got to work doubly hard to sustain themselves while they get the training. And the training can be simple. The training can be a cosmetology license. The training can be a barber's license. The training can be a CDL. But to go to your point, Larry, they got to put food on the table now. And so I would just ask that as a matter of sort of compassion to understand how hard these people hustle when they want to try to put their lives back together again. And that's why the job is so critically important. Let me correct myself, not the job, the career. They need to be vested long-term.
Well, both are good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're getting at that both are.
They're both important.
Yeah.
But the old school way was we didn't focus on training, right? So if I come back from training, if I come back from prison, the reality is I can't walk into a public high school. I can't get trained because I've got, an F for felon on my jacket. So I can't literally walk into a continuing education program. So at the end of the day, I come back from prison, whether it's for 6 months or 6 years. And if I can't get trained, then the only thing that I can offer is, my hands and my muscle, and you got a warehousing job for life. What we're trying to do is to say, it's the training. Yeah, job is critically important, and nobody's more pro-bullish than I am about work. Work is good for the soul, it's good for the pocketbook. But you've also got to allow people, the same way it was Larry or Jim had an opportunity to fulfill my interests. You come out of prison and you say, hey, I'd like to become an electrician. I'd like to put up drywall. I'd like to become a CDL. And you say, no, you can't do that. Like at some point in time, that becomes a frustrating, not only in terms of your interest, but your economic viability. And that's why this training center is so important. I agree with a job is essential, but we've got to be in the business of providing people with careers that they're interested in. To go to what Larry just said, there are 1 million manufacturing jobs today in America that aren't being fulfilled. They are perfect. Guys coming out of prison want to be in the manufacturing business. They need to be trained, and that's what we're doing.
Wonderful. And I have to end it because
You're good, but you got me. I love the pushback.
Nobody can say that you're not passionate about this.
No, but I love the pushback, Larry, because it's good for the clarification. So I'm grateful.
Oh, wonderful. I'm grateful to you for spending the time with us today.
No, thank you.
Former Governor Jim McGreevey, now chairman of the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. Still to come on Jersey Matters, when you clean up the Jersey Shore, you're going to find some unusual stuff. We'll tell you about it next.